Hello, is anyone there? Looks like we have some people joining us. Is anyone there yet?
Okay, we have one person. We have two.
Am I able to speak to you, Lana, without everyone hearing me?
No, you are on air now, and you can start now.
Okay, we'd like to begin this evening's event. Welcome, everyone, to this evening's town hall meeting with Dr. Annette Tejero. This is your candidate for Congress in District 1. Dr. Annette is a bilingual Hispanic candidate with deep roots in our community and experience working in our casinos, retail, university, hospitals, while graduating herself from high school and UNLV right in this district. So Annette is a doctor and a small business owner. She knows real patients and understands their insurance needs with over 10 years of experience analyzing, advising, and testifying on Nevada legislature bills. Annette has experience working in veterans hospitals, a veteran for a husband, and respects our military families. Annette is recognized as a Senora of Excellence, which is a community service award given from the Las Vegas Latin Chamber of Commerce. So as we begin this evening, we'd like to ask a polling question, and that question will be sent out to you. Feel free to take a moment to answer it if you would. And here it comes. Question is, what are the most critical issues that concern you as it relates to the government? So if you'd be so kind, we'll give you some time to answer that. You'll see the choices right below it. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Choose that which is most important to you.
So, Dave, the choices are number 1, jobs in the economy. Number 2, health care. Number 3, national security. Number 4, education. Number 5, immigration policy. And number 6, some other issue.
Oh, look at that. 6th issue.
So I am Dr. Annette Tejero, and I welcome your input this evening. Thank you for sharing part of the evening with me and informing me as to how I can better represent you in this district.
A few other things about Dr. Annette that I can let you know while you're filling out that form. Dr. Annette wants to keep us all in our income tax-free situation, if not paying taxes on our tips. We do not want to pay taxes on our tips, so we can spend it as we, the people, see fit through co-sponsoring H.R. 25. Annette wants to save retirement incomes and Social Security and disability for today's seniors and our next generation. Dr. Annette believes keeping families strong, together, working, and proud. That is an important thing for her. Annette wants to empower teachers, cut the bureaucratic micromanagement, and increase funds in the classroom. Annette also wants to expand the healthcare professionals' workforce to ensure that you have access to hands-on healthcare, not just the government-mandated insurance plan. Surely you'll be asking questions later, and you may ask anything relevant to what I've stated this evening. Okay. We'll give this maybe 30 more seconds, if you would, and we're going to announce the results soon. We have a question coming in, and it is Sonia from Las Vegas.
Hello, Sonia.
Can you hear us, Sonia? Sonia, can you hear us?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. What would you like to know from Dr. Annette this evening?
Well, I'd like to know about the economy. What is going to happen to the economy in Las Vegas?
Sonia, a lot of what happens in our economy is a reflection of what's going on in the rest of the world and obviously the United States. When people do not have extra money, they don't spend time or energy on extra vacations, such as coming here to a highly tourist economy that we have. So for our economy, we need to make sure that everybody else around us has a healthy economy, which means that overall as a nation, we must begin to generate incomes that pay not only the bills, like putting food on the table and being able to have somewhere to live, but we also need to create some discretionary income freedom. One of the problems that we have with the new health care law is that it actually increases some of the taxes and it increases the premiums that everybody's been paying. So therefore, they don't have as much money left over to enjoy our casino industry, our restaurant industry, our shows, and everything else that we have as far as entertainment. As far as I myself creating jobs, government jobs, I don't believe that that is how we should do things. I believe that we should unleash America's entrepreneurial ability. So giving business owners the tools and the help that we can so that they create new businesses and new jobs. And that means that people have to be able to have the capital. So government should be facilitating it so that the business owners have enough money left over so they can hire more people.
Thank you for your answer. And
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sonia. We have another question from Donald Noss in Las Vegas. Donald, would you like to ask the question?
Hi. It's actually Cheryl Noss, his wife. Hello, Doctor. I am looking for a new candidate for Congress, Senate. And my question is this. Right now, would you be in Las Vegas on vacation, or would you be in Washington with all of the crises with across the seas, with all of the different countries in crises, as well as the Ebola crisis right now? Would you be there helping the president, or would you be on vacation?
Well, that is a very interesting question. It's Phyllis, right?
It's Cheryl.
Cheryl, okay.
Yeah.
What do I have? Anyways, Cheryl, you brought up an excellent point, because in 2008, when the banking industry was having a crisis, a lot of our elected body in Congress went back to Washington, D.C. to address that issue. They suspended their campaign. And amazingly enough, right now, as we speak, we have a potential outbreak in our healthcare system, the Ebola virus, for instance, and yet all of these politicians are not necessarily willing to suspend their campaigns to go back and allocate the right funds to make sure that people are educated, not only in the healthcare industry, that we review those protocols so that we don't get people infected in healthcare, but we also need to educate everybody that handles human bodily fluids. And that means everybody in the restaurant industry, everyone who deals with housekeeping, linen, all those things. And that's crucially important to a city that receives more than 40 million visitors a year. So in answer to your question, no, I wouldn't be on vacation. Most doctors spend a lot of time working and not enough time on vacation. So I would be in Washington, D.C. right now if I was your congresswoman, trying to put forth legislation that helped to solve some of the crises. Because that's what I'm there for if I get elected, right? I'm there to represent you.
Well, thank you very much for your question. Well, I'd like to give the results of the recent poll. The question was, what are the most critical issues that concern you as it relates to the government? And resoundingly, you had chosen jobs and the economy. 33% of all respondents answered that answer. The rest of them, health care, national security, education, and immigration policy, were answered to about 17% each. But the big concern for everyone seems to be jobs and the economy first and foremost. I have another question from actually a woman named Phyllis. Can you believe it? So perhaps the doctor was a little psychic, and we're going to allow Phyllis to ask her question now. Phyllis, are you there?
Yes, I certainly am. I would like to know why Dina Titus, when she voted for the Obama plan, has never had that raised up against her. You know, she was voted out after her first term, I'm sure, because of voting for the Obama plan. And that's when the areas were changed, so she didn't have to run against Joe Heck again. And so I feel people should be aware that she was the one who helped push in the Obama plan, although you never hear her mention it.
Well, actually, Phyllis, it's very interesting in the fact that she actually still promotes Obamacare as a solution to all Southern Nevadas, and she has sent out mailers with your taxpayer funds explaining the benefits that she's had for seniors through the Obamacare law. I find that personally offensive because when you look at it from a physician's point of view, and I believe that patients have rights to determine what it is that they need, when you look at it that way, actually our seniors will continue to lose benefits. And how they will lose benefits is in a very gradual and kind of Machiavellian way. One of them is their taxation will increase for some seniors. The cost of their medications has been rising. I have had people inside of the district come to me and say, you know, before the new health care law, I was able to purchase my medication without any problem, and it only cost me $4. Now it's $300. So I'm having to dig deeper into my pocket, and I thought she said that the donut hole was closed, but now I find this other cost that goes on. Dina Titus is the only sitting Congress woman that voted for that health care law. And I think that we should make her aware of that and the problems that we've had. There was a death by one of the people that signed up for the new health care law. She was 61 years old, and because of problems with the health care website, the information did not get put into the system, and she ended up not having health insurance. She ended up dying because she could not get the care that she needed right away. That's what I never wanted to see happen, and that's why I've always been very vocal about the fact that whatever health care reform we have has to be patient, person-centered, not government-centered. So, yes, I will make her wear that, but I'm going to ask you a special something that you can do to make that everybody aware is Dina Titus will not debate me, but all of you on this line should be just asking every single newspaper, TV, whatever media that you can find, even radio, and asking them, why is it that Dina Titus will not debate me on the issues? Because I think you guys would like to hear us debate.
Very good. Well, thank you. I have another. Do I have someone on the line? Sorry about that, everybody. Okay, I have a Joseph from Las Vegas. He has a question. Joseph, can you hear us?
Okay. Hello, Doctor. This is Joe Holbert. I wonder if you're familiar with the book that was written by Richard Preston, and the name of it is The Hot Zone. And in that book, he tells a terrifyingly true story about Obama, about, the name of that disease that's going around.
The Ebola virus. Is
right,
that what you're talking about?
Yeah, and it's been proven that it's airborne, and it's always being debated on TV here and everything. The president says it isn't. You have to have contact, personal contact, and all that crap. They got buildings back in the Capitol area there that the Army had and the CDC had, and they have had an outbreak in there with the monkeys. They were experimenting with the monkeys. and the book explains it. And it got so bad they had to kill all of the animals in there, and tried to fumigate the thing, and they never could do it. And so the buildings to this day are standing there empty, according to the book now. And I'm surprised that more people haven't read that book or even heard of it. You know, and it was all level 4, pathogens that they were working for in their laboratories.
Joseph, do you have a specific question that you'd like to ask the doctor?
Yeah, is she familiar with the Hot Zone book by Richard Preston?
Joseph, I have not read that book, so I'm not familiar with the plot or the story inside of the book. My concern has to do with the fact that we do know how Ebola is transferred. It is transferred through bodily fluids. It can be in other types of mammals. So we need to be very careful as to how we handle other people's bodily fluids. When I explained earlier, and I've explained this on TV, it's so important for people that work in the restaurant industry, in our housekeeping industry, and anyone who is coming in contact with anything that could have saliva, perspiration, such as sweat, when someone sweats profusely, blood, any kind of vomit, obviously diarrhea, any kind of bodily fluids, even tears, those things can have Ebola virus in them. So with that in mind, it's so important that people use protective gear if they're handling anything that has bodily fluids, using gloves properly, using the proper agents to clean things, even sometimes having goggles and a face mask if you feel that things are going to splatter. So these are all things that I would bring to Congress. My knowledge would be brought into Congress, which should reflect the knowledge that we have throughout the nation. We only have about 18 physicians in all of Congress. In contrast to, we have about 173 attorneys that are in Congress. So we really need to have that knowledge base. When we're creating laws, we need to have experts within Congress so that we can protect other people. The people of this nation deserve the very, very best. And from day one, I will walk in so that people will be able to be protected when we have crises like this. It's all about education. It's all about containment, having the proper quarantine, and having people report the disease. Because Ebola actually presents such as the flu. It presents with a fever. It presents with sore muscles. It presents with a headache and sore throat. And then later develops the vomiting and the diarrhea. So everybody needs to know that it might not just be the regular flu. It's a good idea to go get checked and make sure that you don't have it, especially for those that have traveled abroad or come in contact with someone that has traveled abroad. So those are the things that I would work on if I was sitting in Congress today.
Okay, folks, I have another question. We have a fellow named Matt. Matt, can you hear us?
Yes, my name is...
Some background noise there.
Hold on 1 second.
Go ahead.
Is that better?
Yes, much better.
Okay. Just a quick question. Annette, I think you're doing a wonderful job, and I would like to know where would I get some information as far as helping you out on your campaign?
Absolutely. I need everybody's help that's on the line tonight because we need to have better representation. You can always go to my website as a resource. My website is AnnetteForCongress.com. That's AnnetteForCongress.com. And on there you will find various areas for information about what I stand for. You'll actually have videos that you can view and have your friends and family view. But there are also 2 very important pages that I wanted to have for my for the people that I'll represent. One of them is a Contact Us page, and it actually allows you to send an email directed to something that you feel is really important. and there's the Join Us page. And we would love to have all of you join us in this campaign because early voting starts on Saturday and it ends on the 31st. We will be in the parade for Nevada Day, and you guys can come and join me for that too. If you join us, we'll keep you posted about that. And the other part of it is tell your friends. Tell everybody. Share the YouTube videos. Share the Facebook pictures. And that is so important for us to show other people that, you know what, you don't have to have hundreds of thousands of dollars like my opponent does to buy TV ads. You need to be able to be accessible to the people. That's what we need you guys to do, because that's where we the people are much stronger than any TV ad that anybody could put together. So I would really love it if you could go to the website. Please keep in touch. Come to the office. We have an open house every week, every Wednesday from 5 to 8. And the address for the campaign office is 2069 East Sahara Avenue. And that is the southwest corner of Sahara and Burnham. So again, that's 2069 East Sahara Avenue, and it's Suite A. You'll see the little signs. We're kind of tucked in the back southwest corner. But anytime that you see one of our volunteers out with a T-shirt or see any of the signs traveling around town, give us a honk and give us a nod. Those are things that you can do. They're very, very important. They don't cost a whole lot of money, although I will encourage you to also hit the donate button on my website, because every single dollar will go and be spent to get out to more voters that may not be on the call this evening.
Thank you, Doctor. We have an Antonio from Las Vegas also. And Antonio,
Hello.
Can you hear us?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you. How you doing?
Very good. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Hello, Doctor.
Yes,
Dr.
sir. I'm right here. Yes,
Hi,
it
Dr.
is.
I'm sure as a doctor you are aware of the Drug Enforcement Association, and their cause is good, and I know they're trying to get rid of drug abuse, but in so doing, I'm almost 90 years old, and I cannot deal with they're trying to get rid of my hydrocodone.
Ah,
And,
yes.
So in order for me to get my hydrocodone, now I have to see my family doctor every month instead of twice a year in order to get a prescription, because I have to take it by hand. And what they're doing now is with, I don't know whether it's a money deal or not, but I only see my family doctor twice a year because there's nothing wrong with me except I have a lot of pain and aches, and because I'm almost 90 years old, I've got arthritis, and I fell and broke my back and all that, and I've been on hydrocodone off and on. They reduced it to 325, which was bad enough, 325 milligrams of acetaminophen, which was bad enough, but now they're saying that I have to go personally to get my prescription. I'm willing to go there personally to get a prescription, but I don't want to see my family physician every month. I can't afford it.
I understand. One of the benefits that we have by having another physician in Congress is addressing these very important issues. Now,
it's not that I want to complain about it, except that I'm under Medicare, and Medicare will pay if they can justify medically my seeing my family doctor once a month. And how do you justify seeing your family? Because he sends you to specialists, and if I'm not getting any better, they want to know why I'm not getting any better.
Right.
So
it creates
I don't want to be a part of a felony. Understand what I'm saying?
No, I understand, sir, and it creates a catch-22.
In other words, and I have a wife that's in the same position, which means that between her and myself, we're going to have to pay the doctor every month $150 a piece, which is $300, and we get about $1,000 in Social Security. So is that going to help us? Somebody's got to stop them. I mean, they got to find out how another way of getting to this drug abuse, which I'm almost 90, so I know that for 75 years they've been trying to get rid of this drug abuse, and they can't seem to do it. They don't want to close the frontiers. They don't want to, borders, nothing. They don't care about borders, just like this big joke about air flights coming from West Africa. They don't want to close that one. That's ridiculous anyway. That's political. And I don't even want to discuss that because I'm so disgusted with this president anyway. Anyway, I just wanted to know that I'm having a problem, and I don't. If you ever get to Congress, then I certainly will vote for you, and tell my friends to vote for you too. Somebody's got to stop the Drug Enforcement Agency from putting a burden on senior citizens that need drugs without having to spend $300-400 a month.
Right, and
I mean
key,
to the doctors, you know.
Right, and as a physician, I will be the voice. I actually have done things in the last legislative session. There were some laws that they wanted to pass on a state level that was going to make it very, very hard for people with chronic pain to be able to access physicians that would be willing to write them for pain medicine. And I testified very strongly, and I worked behind the scenes, and I actually helped kill the bill inside of committee so that it never reached the floor of the chair of the Judiciary Committee. Senator Tick Sigerbloom had a very awful law that was going to make it really difficult for people with chronic pain to be able to have prescriptions for their pain. And I successfully, along with a group of other physicians that have a lot of compassion for people with chronic pain, and as an anesthesiologist, you need to know that I trained at one of the foremost pain clinics in Seattle, Washington. And so therefore, I took the lead along with a few other physicians, and we made sure that that bill died in committee. And those are the things that you can expect me to do in Congress, the same kind of things, because there's nothing more frustrating for me, because I entered healthcare to help all of the patients, to see someone who doesn't have pain or doesn't have these health issues not make those wise decisions and make it financially impossible for people to have pain relief, financially impossible for them to reach and have a functional life, because that's all we really want. Don't we want the pursuit of happiness? Because that's what I want for my patients, that they get the best care possible. So let's take that kind of can-do attitude and let me walk in day one and begin to represent you, Antonio, and all the other people that I've already fought for, so that you can access your physician and have a highly functional life rather than being in pain.
Dr. Annette, I have a question from Mark Meyer. He wonders if you've heard of the book Stop the Upcoming Civil War by Michael Savage. The reason he asks is because evidently he is supporting you. So if you haven't read Michael Savage's book, perhaps you owe it to him since he's on your side.
Wow, I guess I got to find out where that book is and buy it right away. Mark, very interesting. I don't know exactly what the book is about, but I can honestly tell you that I'm very, very concerned about our nation, because part of what's going on is the divide and conquer. We're all being put into separate little boxes, and we're all being labeled all these things so that it's almost an antagonism. Americans are fighting Americans, and they're fighting people that are here working because this person and that person. This is not the America that I grew up in, and it has become very divisive. I think that our Congress, unfortunately, reflects a heightened type of dividedness, and that just doesn't work. Once someone is elected, we have to work for the benefit of all Americans.
We have a question that is just perfect. It's an excellent segue. This is from Casey. Casey, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Yes. After what I've read so far, I'm supporting you. You definitely have my vote. I just want to make sure that there is an emphasis on securing our borders. I did come late to your thing. Security of the border, and send them back immediately. Have those planes ready to go and just put them right from the border straight to the planes and send them back. That and the Ebola thing. Do you believe in banning all flights from Africa? I certainly hope so.
Securing our borders is foremost. It has to be done. That's a national security issue, much more than it's even an immigration issue. It is a national security issue. If a nation does not protect its borders, and that's something that we have given the power to the federal government to do to protect us, then we might as well throw away everything that we have in government, because we're going to be invaded and run over by people that don't wish us well, that wish us harm. So as far as that part, absolutely, we must secure the borders. And it's not just putting up a fence. There are many ways to secure that the people that are in here to do us good, that we want them here. So that's very, very important. Now, the other side of what you said about the Ebola, I am frankly very concerned that we do not have the proper quarantine measures and we're not doing the proper screening. And again, I believe that Congress should be back in Washington, D.C., addressing some of the funding issues, perhaps writing the legislation so that we can have the proper things happen so Ebola does not come to the U.S. and Ebola is contained in the nations that have the bad outbreaks. But as a physician, I can say that out of my knowledge of how infectious disease works, and the fact that Ebola is 50 to 90% mortality is what it has. So this is a serious issue. And when we educate people, we're not only educating them for things like Ebola. There are other viruses that are found in bodily fluids, such as hepatitis C or AIDS, all of those things. We should never lose sight that preventing infection is much more important than trying to abate it once the outbreak happens.
That's a very good point, Doctor. Thank you. I have another question now from Jackie. Jackie, can you hear us?
Hi. Hello?
Yes, Jackie, go ahead.
Hi, this is Jackie Geraldine from Henderson, Nevada. How are you today, Dr. Annette? My question is related to Ebola as well. Are you in favor, and I know your answer is going to be yes, but just for verification, are you in favor of more television commercials and public service announcements on the health safety, such as no spitting on the ground, washing your hands frequently, and just precautionary measures as such? Because until we can, there's so many staph infections, and I'm sure you heard about the people the lady and the baby who died in the hospital because of an outbreak of, I can't remember the name of the disease, but it was an outbreak here in the Las Vegas area. And, I'm just in favor of more commercials, such as the one that I've seen on the Hep C about not leaving the razor around, keeping your things, sanitizing and things like that. That's one question. My second question is, are you in favor of assisting veterans? There's certain veterans who, like, say, the VA has lost my medical records, and there's no way that I don't know anyone that's it's been quite some time ago when I was in the military, but my doctor, before I retired in Washington, D.C., my doctor told me that the reason why that I didn't have a large amounts of albumin was because I'm taking this medication called Cozar, which is helps out with the kidneys. I am a diabetic. And so there's no way I've tried to order my medical records from the VA, and they're no longer, for some reason they don't have them. So I was wondering if you are interested in helping with those two issues, the things that I've just explained.
And you know what? I am absolutely in favor of that education, which is what I was trying to express when I said we really needed to have me in Congress, because one of the foremost priorities that we need to do is we need to have that funding for the education We need to have those legislative changes that facilitate it so that we have more public service announcements explaining to people the things that they should refrain from doing, especially if they're feeling sick. So that is the education fold. Absolutely. Absolutely, that's what we should do. The second part that you spoke about is there are 2 points I want to make about that. Number one is the current occupant of this seat, the current person that's in there, she sits on the Veterans Affairs Committee in the House. And it wasn't until we had that massive blow up on the front page that over 40 veterans died and many more could not access care because of bureaucratic red tape. It wasn't until then that she actually made a lot of the speaking out against what was going on in the Veterans Affairs. You also need to know that I have been endorsed by Veterans in Politics. There's also a video of how I was asked questions with regard to veterans issues that were very broad, but it was a panel that asked different candidates. My opponent in this race on the Democrat side did not attend this debate. She does not have the endorsement of Veterans in Politics. And lastly, which is actually very important, you need to know that my husband is a veteran. So it is very near and dear. And I want to please say thank you to each and every one of you on this line who's a veteran. Thank you so much for your service. You kept us free, and you will continue to be heroes in my book.
Now might be a good time for that second poll question. Folks, I'm going to put that up for you. If you can see it, it's coming your way now. The question is, and take a few moments while we continue this program to enter your answer, what should our country do about radical Islamic groups such as ISIS? This is particularly in the news right now. We've got another call, and that is Brian. Brian in Las Vegas. Brian, can you hear us?
Yeah. Yeah, I can. My question, I can just go out and ask.
Please, Brian, go ahead.
All right. One way to improve public education without spending more money is to cut the bureaucracy and red tape that makes it difficult for principals and teachers to do their job. How would you propose getting it done?
Absolutely. And that is something that I have said throughout this campaign is we need the money in the classrooms and actually where the students are. There are so many teachers that get so burnt out with the bureaucratic red tape. The administrative costs are huge throughout the country. And one of the things that's happened is by having education stepped up to the federal level rather than staying at the state and local level, is that increased cost. It decreases flexibility. And these are things that work against us when we're trying to teach our children. America used to be a mecca of knowledge. And now our children are lagging far behind other, less industrialized countries. Why is that? It's because we don't spend the time, energy, and money on the basics where we are in the classroom. It's because we don't allow or encourage parents to become very involved in their children's education. So there are ways to do that by cutting back on all the regulatory stuff, by making sure that the Department of Education, if it truly needs to be there, has a circumscribed role, a role that only does what's absolutely necessary and allows the freedom for principals, for teachers to be able to do what they need to do to teach our kids. And that means that they need the proper funding for their jobs, not filling out forms and paying attention to regulatory changes. They should be able to do things that they went into teaching for, and that is to teach our kids, because that's the future of the country.
Okay, our next speaker is Robert. Robert's got a question about working together. Robert?
Hello, this is Robert. I would like to know, Dr. Annette, are you going to work with the Democrats at all, and I just want to know if you think if that's possible for the Democrats and the Republicans to work together for the betterment of our country and not work against each other.
All right, Robert, excellent point that you bring up. You need to know one thing if you take anything away from this call. For over a decade, I have worked with both sides of the aisle at the state legislative level, because when people are elected into office, those of us that actually dealt with the policy, those wonderful bill draft requests, you hear people talking about BDRs, those are proposed laws that come into the legislature that have to go through committee, come out of committee, get voted on. Being invested in trying to put forth healthcare legislation that helped all of the patients, guess what? I had to work with Democrat legislators just like I worked with Republican legislators. You know what? At the end of the day, we are all Americans. And as a physician, I have never treated people because they were Republican, Democrat, Green Party, Independent American, whatever their party affiliation did not matter to me. It's human beings that I treat. Once elected to the body of Congress, I have to get doing what the business is for Americans, not what the business is for just Republicans or just for Democrats or just for any other special interest. I have to look over every piece of legislation and work on making it the best possible piece of legislation for everyone. So I hope that answers your question, because I've already kind of done it for you for free for over a decade.
All right, very good. We have another question from John. John, this is about the economy. I guess it's about our state, bringing business to our state and the economy on the whole. John, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, John, go ahead.
Actually, I kind of have a better question that pertains to what's going on nowadays in the news. A year ago, the Republicans shut down the government, and then they set the sequester, and part of the sequester was to cut funding for the CDC. If you get elected, do you plan to put that money back into the CDC so we have enough money to fight Ebola?
Okay. Yes. I think that at times when we are in Congress and we have crisis situations, that's why we have a legislative body that can make adjustments, such as what's needed now. If we need more education, which we do when there's an outbreak, we need to be able to move those funds in that direction. However, I believe that all of us on this call realize that government is a little wasteful. It has waste, fraud, and abuse that sometimes it encourages because there is no accountability. When we look at what's happening with the Internal Revenue Service now, and the power that they used and the abuse that they had and the way that they wasted our taxpayer money, creating videos, spoofs of Star Trek, honestly, couldn't that money have been better served taking care of people's medical needs, of educating perhaps special programs for special needs kids? Absolutely. And that's what we need to do as legislators, as representatives in the House of Representatives. It means that in every committee you have to scrutinize those government agencies that are coming to you with requests for funding and making sure that they're actually doing something and spending our money, our taxpayer money, on what needs to be done. And then if they're not, moving those funds somewhere else or actually cutting the cost of government, which is extremely wonderful because that way people have discretionary income that they can keep and they can come and visit our lovely city and spend money here, and therefore we'd have more jobs. But also, we need to make sure that we have a much more diverse economy. And you bet that's the other thing that we have to create is more jobs for Nevadans, just like we need to create more jobs throughout the USA.
Well, thank you very much, Doctor. I can report the answers to that recent poll. The question was, what should our country do about radical Islamic groups such as ISIS? 37%, that's the outstanding majority. Respondents answered the number 4 answer. We should target these groups only through airstrikes, evidently wanting to limit the amount of people on the ground. So that's an interesting twist. I think we can go to our next question here. Let's see. Jody, are you available?
My name is Jody Todd. Last name.
I understand.
I am a party.
Am I correct?
And I would like to know what your position is on the Tea Party. They have been accepted and everything by the Republican Party when it's beneficial to them, and now they're demonized regularly by them because that seems to be working in their favor. So I'd like to know where you stand on that. And one other thing, a little more important, I suppose, Obamacare and Medicare. I just learned recently that you can't be on both, that you can either be on Medicare or you can be on Obamacare. So when I reach that age in just a few years, which would be the better thing to be on? I don't know what to do. So that's my questions.
The word Tea Party, it means taxed enough already.
Right.
And I have found that throughout Tea Party meetings and my association with friends of mine that are Tea Party, as you might say, people who are in the Tea Party aren't just necessarily Republican. They actually have a much broader spectrum. So if you're concerned about our Bill of Rights, if you're concerned about the fact that we're being fleeced by overspending and wasteful and fraud that's going on in our government, absolutely. I guess all of us are Tea Party. So Tea Party Americans are just like any other American. People join organizations to be able to express their grievance with the federal government. That's what we are empowered to do by our Bill of Rights. And our representatives should be able to listen to those grievances and make sure that we have the right laws. And if we have bad laws, get rid of those laws. So I'm not a person that's going to sit here and go, oh, well, so-and-so is this group. Again, division doesn't get us anywhere. United we stand. If we begin to divide and circumscribe people into pockets and make assumptions, we're all going to lose because everybody has something to contribute in America.
Thank you.
The second part of your question, the Obamacare versus Medicare. Now, Obamacare is an extension of our Medicaid system. It is an assortment of different taxes, and it is technically for people that are not eligible for Medicare. So the two cannot be the same. You're either one or the other. When we talk about Obamacare, it's what's being offered at this present time. As time moves forward, it is my hope that we can eradicate some of these crazy ideas that somehow bureaucrats in Washington, D.C., or bureaucrats in ivory towers can decide what's in the best interest of your family members and your own personal health care. Medicare is a huge concern for me because obviously I have older family members, including my mother, who's on Medicare, and I'm a baby boomer. I'm 52 years old, so I'm at the tail end of the baby boomers. And this is something that we seriously have to look at. In 2011, the baby boomers began to retire. And therefore, when they began to retire, they're going to be retiring until 2030. As people retire in this population, it means that we're going to double our Medicare population is going to double from 40 million to 80 million. And what's even more concerning is that since we haven't saved the money that needs to be put into this program, we're only going to have a little over 2.5 workers per beneficiary by the time that we reach that 2030 time. So something is not going to be funded. That's sad. We need to change the structure of how we fund this wonderful program. And we need to change it so that people have more flexibility. Because being told what's covered might be okay for someone that's in a socialized system, But in America, we've always allowed people to have freedom. And the freedom that we have means that people make wise choices with their doctor as to what needs to be done with their health care. Because I actually don't think that Americans are small children that need to be coddled and taken care of for every single specific need. I think that all of us are responsible. We are very independent people, and the freedoms lead us to be more responsible than not. So those are things that, of course, I would protect, but we've got to find a way of funding that without having it depend on payroll taxes, because I explained to you how we're not going to have that many people working per beneficiary. And that's what the push is for things like HR 25, which is a new way of using taxation on people. Rather than depending on people's payroll, we can actually depend on a very fruitful and wonderful economy so that the purchase power, you decide what it is that you're going to be taxed, depending on what it is that you spend your money on. And if you want to save your money for health care issues, save your money because that's what you want to save for retirement, you should have the freedom to do that, because we should encourage everybody to be responsible with their finances. And we will if we make everybody aware that whenever they purchase anything, there will be a tax. And through that tax, we will be able to fully fund things like Medicare and Social Security, because we won't be this up and down dependent on how many workers we have for every beneficiary, which is actually the way that the demographics work now. It's not going to be, as I said in the RJ, if you read the endorsement from the RJ, I said, if you think that these things are solvent, you don't do math well. So you can't make the money stretch if it's not there. I think all of us on this call understand that when you go to the grocery store, your dollar can't buy as much as it used to. We can print money till the cows come home. But ultimately, if you have no buying power, if you can't keep the money that you make or the money that you have in your retirement account, then what kind of freedom are we going to have as Americans? So those are things that obviously I feel very passionate about. I have very humble beginnings. I do not come from a lot of money. I am not a multimillionaire such as my opponent, Dina Titus, is. I am a humble individual who actually grew up in this inner city inside a Congressional District 1. And I sometimes walked to UNLV, and I worked when I was in high school. And my grandparents, who come from another country, and my aunt actually helped pay for my private education at Bishop Gorman, because they felt that because I was willing to study and I was an honor student, we should invest in my education. And then when I finished college, I worked my whole time that I was there. And I did not have a penny of debt. And against the dean of the medical school here in Nevada, he told me I couldn't work while I was in medical school, and I did it anyway. I worked the first 2 years that I was in medical school just to be able to not have all the debt that most people finish with in medical school. That is my strong work ethic, and I will work like that for you because I think it's important. That's what America means to me, and we need to save. You know, those old-fashioned ways of being responsible, they're the best ways. We need to get out there and say that more often, because if we give away our freedoms, someone will most likely take them.
We'd like to thank everyone for joining us this evening and being part of the town hall meeting with Dr. Annette Tejero, your candidate for Congress in District 1. We may be holding some events like these again in the near future. We'd appreciate it if you'd be a part of that, and we wish you a pleasant evening. So I thank you very kindly. Doctor, would you have a last word for it?
Absolutely. I just wanted to remind everybody of our standing open house on Wednesdays from 5 to 8 at 2069 East Sahara Avenue, Suite A. That's on the southwest corner of the Sahara Professional Center, on the southwest corner on Burnham and Sahara. It's in the middle of the district. Please come by. We'd love it if you could RSVP. You can do that by going to our website, which is AnnetteForCongress.com. Send us a note there by joining us and giving us your email address if you'd like to correspond via email. And also remember that anything that wasn't answered tonight that you felt there wasn't enough time, you can always put that in the contact us and give me any kind of question or suggestion that you have, because I'm vying for being your representative in Congress. So remember, AnnetteForCongress.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, watch our YouTube videos, and if you can be oh so generous, anything, spare a latte and send me $5 on the donate side, because if we have enough people participating, we can blow the socks off and bring back America to that shining city on the hill.
Thank you very much, everyone. Good night.